Hello, everybody. It's Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario on August 2nd, Saturday, August 2nd. We're in the long, excuse me, we're in a long weekend here in Ontario, Civic Holiday weekend. Dog days of summer, so slow news, not a lot of crazy stuff going on. Um, so yeah, people are probably chilling out, enjoying their weekend. They'll be back to school days, sales in no time. Um, so just looking at my daily feed today, nothing too crazy. The trade talks, nothing too crazy. I haven't heard anything today about the tariff war between Canada and U.S. Probably taking the weekend off. Um, Nothing else. A lot of stuff on Israel today, which I noticed today. This guy, they have a prisoner over there in Gaza, an Israeli prisoner, and they showed pictures of him all like really looking bad and all that. That was all over my feed all day. So of course they want you to see that. Um, and I see Caravana is in Toronto and Taste of India. So lots of stuff going on. That's all I've been seeing on the TV all day is Caravana. So tomorrow is the big day. We'll see how many people get shot tomorrow at Caravana. Hopefully nobody. Hopefully nobody. In Taste of India, they got the Nathan Phillips Squares turning into India. About 10,000 vendors there. So if you really want Indian food, that's the place to go. Um, yeah. It's just weird. I just feel like nothing's just like a standstill or whatever. But yeah, we'll look at more on my feed a little more reaction to the Canada's decision to recognize Palestine or whatever. I don't. Uh, yeah, and that's it. Let's look at it. The day of August 2nd. I can't believe it's August already, but I'm glad. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just bored. Get the summer over with, I guess. It always goes quick anyway. So yeah, first story I saw today is world-renowned Israeli writer David Grossman said coming to the realization that Israel is committing genocide was extremely painful, but now he has a moral obligation to speak up. So his name is David Grossman, and Haaretz is a Israeli newspaper, and they often do stories that are very critical of Israel, more critical than the U.S. media or Canadian media, which says basically Israel can do no wrong. Their media is actually pretty good in some of their media outlets. In the report, Haaretz gets criticized a lot for their stories, and I saw a lot of Haaretz stories today, basically saying, yeah, Israel's really screwed up here, and like just really damning stories against Israel's behavior and Netanyahu's behavior, not on in the Gaza Strip. So yeah, this guy's and people say, oh, this guy's he's just one self-hating Jew, but he looks like he's a world-renowned Israeli writer. He's not exactly a kook, you know. So take that how you will. Now another Haaretz article today. Was showing up a lot on my feed today. It was weird. Haaretz. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but Haaretz. Once victims, now Israelis are the silent bystanders who are letting genocide happen. So that's another Haaretz article. 2 articles with the word genocide. Interesting. and it's an opinion piece. Once victims, now Israelis. All right, Yuri, who's the Yuli Novak? Okay, so it's just interesting because here we're saying in the U.S. and the Canadian media, they're like, "Oh, it's all Hamas's fault," and this, and politicians, especially in the U.S., are saying it's all Hamas's fault and all this. Yet the Israeli media, or certain parts of the Israeli media, actually will be critical of the Israeli politicians and the government because the bunch in there right now, a bunch of crazy bastards. So you should be scrutinizing them, like not only Netanyahu but his finance minister and his, I don't know if it's the interior security minister or whatever, but it's all crazy. Like the reporting is so much better over there than over here about the issue. Always has been. Always has been. Okay, and here's yet another Haaretz article today. I have them, and I don't think I've ever seen this many critical articles of Israel in one day from Haaretz. You know, you see them once in a while, but in one day. So I don't know. They're feeling the pressure, I think, when Canada, and now Germany's saying they might recognize a Palestinian state because, I don't know, they might be, it might be, the pressure might be building on them to, about their image. Because I've never seen this many negative articles on Israel in one day from Haaretz. So here's Times of Israel. This is another thing on David Grossman, Broken Heart. So they're basically following the story that whoever did the original story, they're just doing a follow, what they call. But still, it's Times of Israel. To see that word genocide in the Times of Israel publication, you know things are crazy bad for them, going bad for them. So Shal Ben Ephraim, he's been getting criticized a lot. He's like one of these basically they don't anti-war Jewish groups. He's getting a lot of flack. He says it's hard to overrate the importance of this. Grossman is without a doubt the most important writer in Israel today, and the heir to Amos Oz. His son Yuri was killed in southern Lebanon in combat in 2011. I didn't know that. A great Zionist, a great man, and a true Israeli icon. If he says it, he means it deeply. So this guy isn't just a kook, this Grossman guy. He's got skin in the game here, and he's calling his side doing genocide. So it's crazy. If he's doing it, saying this, it must be something to it. You know, like some bad shit must be really going on. And it's to the point where it can't be covered up. Like you could cover it up to a certain extent and say, blame Hamas, say, okay, they're doing human shields or they're doing this or do that. But after a while, you can't really blame Hamas if they're saying stuff like this. You can't. My opinion is they want Gaza. They want to get rid of them somehow, and they can't kill them all because the world won't. Like it's just not practical. They can't drop a nuke on them, so they want to make life as miserable as possible for them to leave. Next. I saw this. It's wild how society accepts leaving kids at daycare 40 hours a week just to commute to a job that funds the daycare, the car, and a house you're rarely in. We're basically grinding to pay for a life we barely get to experience. Yes, it's crazy. I think that's changing, though. I think people won't go back to the grind once they get out of it. And the kids, I don't think are going to sign up for it, to be honest. I think they're going to look back and say, you guys did that. You went 9 to 5, Monday to Friday to work. Like, that's crazy. They're not going to believe it, I don't think. So yeah, good point. Next one. Dominion Society of Canada, which is a new group that's formed because none of our politicians listen. They basically disconnected from what we're saying because 2 elections in a row we've had issues concerning to Canadians, important to Canadians, that were barely discussed. 2 elections in a row. The first election was COVID, the Trudeau COVID election, and he basically used the COVID as a wedge to win another term in a minority, of course, and all the parties, Aaron O'Toole, Jagmeet, they were basically all the same on the COVID. So they were arguing about, I don't even know what the election they wanted it to be about, the economy or something, whatever. Anyways, a mess. So most people are like, against this COVID authoritarianism, and it's barely discussed during the election. And then the last election, which Carney called, most people want to talk about immigration, how you can't afford a house, you can't get a doctor, you can't do this, can't do that. Obviously, there's other things they wanted to talk about, the economy and that, but immigration was, like, I think, the top thing on people's minds. And that election, they barely talked about it. Even Pierre, barely a peep from him on immigration. So hopefully Dominion is a group, the Dominion Society of Canada, to lobby and push politicians to actually talk about things that the people want to talk about. Because we had 2 elections in a row where the most important issue was ignored. And I don't think it's going to happen for 3. If Dominion and them have anything to do with it, but it's not good if it happens 3 elections in a row where there's a disconnect, where the voters want to talk about one issue and the politicians talk about something different. But I like this cartoon. It's like Carney at the People with Danielle, Doug, Pierre, and David Eby, and Ursula von der Leyen from the EU. And then on the other, at the People, it's the Dominion Society saying remigration now. So hopefully we can push the conversation. Because Pierre's starting to talk about immigration now, but it's like pulling teeth with this guy, And who knows when he wins his by-election if he'll stop talking. Who knows with this guy? Like, he's lost the trust, I think. And you need some fresh blood to come in and shake things up in Canada. I think we have the tools here in Canada, but not with this crowd. Doug Ford, and, oh my God. All right, next show. Another Haaretz article on Israel's behavior. The numbers aren't the main horror in Gaza, but passing 60,000 dead marks a breaking point. So, they're saying 60,000 dead Gazans. So, I'm assuming that's militants and civilians. But still, that's, it's clear what they're doing. They're trying to kill as many as they can without, like, legitimate kills, like they say, like, during war. And then hopefully the rest of, and then destroy everything around there, like literally everything. Herd them into camps, and then basically make them want to leave, give them the chance to leave, and they'll be, forced to leave. It's clear that's what's going on, like, I don't know what else to say, what else that could be going on, like, because when you think about it, Gaza's like the size of Lambton County. I don't even think it's as big as Lambton County, and You're just telling me between the U.S. military and the Israeli military and all the technology and all the money behind them that they can't figure out with Gaza what to do. Like, it's clear it's just the 2 million people that are just a nuisance and they need to get rid of them. It's not about, like, how do you win a war or how do you fight these guys. It's just, how do we get rid of these people? And I think Hamas is good, like, they use it as a good whipping boy to justify getting rid of 2 million people. Instead of getting rid of Hamas, we'll get rid of all 2 million because they're all Hamas. You know, get it? And you know where a lot of those 2 million people are going to come? Canada. You know? People, that's why I get mad when I see these conservative influencers or influencer wannabes in Canada, especially Alberta for some reason. They're all mad that we recognize the state for Palestine and saying how, you know, the Israelis are allies and this and that. But where do you think the 2 million Palestinians are going to go when they kick them out? Where do you think the West Bank people are going to go when they kick them out? What about the Syrians who have already come here, actually, the 40,000? You know, Israel helped destroy that country with the uprising against their president. And all the Lebanese that are in Canada. Lebanon was a basket case, but trust me, Israel did a lot to help it become a basket case. Also, all those Lebanese. Anyway, the point is we're just going to get more refugees from them. Is their plan. They kick them all out, and they send them here. So yeah, if you want Canada to not have Muslim mass immigration, then you don't want Israel bombing the shit out of them all the time because they end up here. So that's why that's my take on the Canadian angle. Because I know militarily and politically, diplomatically, we don't hold a lot of weight, but we're always the dumping ground for the refugees. Like, I think we took like 40, 50, 60,000 from Syria. And there could be more coming because it doesn't looks like it's going to break up into warring factions probably. And Lebanon and you know, the Palestinians, they're all going to come to Canada. So if you're really worried, like Cat Canada and all them influencers, Key and Bext and whatever, if they're worried about Muslims, then you'd be like, hey, we need them to stay over there. So they don't think like that. They listen to the propaganda that they're fed to support Israel, regardless of the evidence they see. That's why I get frustrated. Because they complain on one hand, they complain about, oh, these Muslims are coming and they're taking over Canada. And on the other hand, they're saying we have to be best friends with Israel. Well, who do you think's sending the Muslims here? All right. People need to make that connection. It's a pretty simple connection. Okay, here's our fat trader, Doug Ford. He's talking about this is about the Starlink cancellation for Elon. So he canceled it because at the time Elon was with Trump, and now they're not buddies anymore, but he's still canceling the contract, and he paid a fee, an exit fee. And we can't use Starlink, which is a very reliable service. It's like, man, Ontario, we're screwed, like, in Canada. Elon Musk is like half Canadian almost. His mother's Canadian, so, but she didn't really grow up here. Anyway, instead of like saying, hey, Elon, why don't you come to Canada and invest in, like, we'll do some deals here and we're interested in all your technology and be, you know, the guy's a genius. And we could, you know, exploit, like, we can make it a good environment for his kinds of companies. But no, instead we're canceling his contracts and stuff. And look at this fat, spray tan, hair dyed, beer drinking dummy. He wants to be a prime minister of Canada too. I'll totally move. And it's not like I like Carney or I like Trudeau, but it's not like if Doug Ford becomes prime minister, we're basically going downhill. Like we're not getting out of the hole, we're going deeper. Let's see what he says.
We're going to continue working to make sure that they have reliable broadband. So I'm talking to the other big companies, the Rogers and the Bells. Had meetings with them actually last week and saying, hey, we got to get moving on this. And it's unfortunate we had to cancel that, but
Protect Ontario.
Deal with a guy that, well, I guess the divorce happened between him and Trump, but the guy was attacking our country, and I just couldn't do it. So we're going to continue working to make sure that they have reliable broadband internet service as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
To fight for everything I have.
Yeah. So this guy, he gets elected because he says he needs to protect Ontario. And now all he does is talk trash about Trump, about Elon Musk. Meanwhile, Ontario is going to shit. It's getting worse by the day. And he's just sitting there talking trash about Donald Trump or Elon Musk. It's really a joke. It's really a joke. I think he was at the Carabana today to say how he's protecting us from Trump. He said that at the Carabana and then went back up to his cottage. Disgusting. All right, here's another reason Israel's really looks bad on the PR stage. Spokesmen like this, Randy Fine, who's a congressman in the U.S. for Florida, a Jewish congressman, obese, fat pig, Jewish congressman. So he says, I, like every rational American, stand fully behind Israel. Hamas is pure evil. They're the ones gouging food prices and hoarding supplies to fund their war machine. War machine. They need to wave the white flag or get wiped out, plain and simple. When countries like, he mentioned Canada, that's why I said. When countries like Canada, France, and England start recognizing a Palestinian state, they just pouring fuel on the Hamas fire, letting those savages keep up their dangerous games. The world should be demanding their unconditional surrender, free the hostages. So yeah, he's basically, and you see how he has the Palestinian state in quotes. Because if you ask any Jewish person that's into this Palestinian-Israeli thing, they'll be like, there's no such thing as a Palestinian state. There's no such thing as Palestinians. That's how they are. That's what they believe. That's why I put it in quotation marks. They're savages. So this is the guy who justified killing babies and children for the 50 hostages. So yeah, he's fat. That's why I said, you fat goblin. But it's guys like him and Rabbi Shmuley that have totally destroyed the image, and I'm not talking like image, like, I know the dead kids are the most important thing, not the image, but the image war is important, and they're totally losing it, and it's because of guys like Randy Fine. All right. And here, this is a retarded thing. Kean Bex was saying it yesterday, too. It's like, the two-state solution for Alberta and Canada. So, obviously, they're saying, you're actually saying, we're so mad about this Israel, our ally Israel, that we want to separate from Canada because of this. It's the most retarded thing I ever heard in my life. And this guy's repeating the same thing, because that's what they do. They repeat each other. When Pierre was running and now this and whatever, they just repeat each other. So this guy's kind of, Mr. Sunshine Baby's kind of following Kean Bext. If Mark Carney can recognize Palestine as an independent country, President Trump can recognize Alberta as well. It's like, what the that has like zero connection to each other. Like, what has Alberta independence and Palestinian state have? Has nothing to do with each other. Like, I don't understand it. It's just they bought into the Israeli propaganda. Like, they're dumb. Sorry. Meanwhile, there's like millions of Indians and Muslims and people from Africa coming, taking over. Well, at least in Alberta, they got the mayor of their two biggest cities are from India. New police chief of the whole province from India. They're building like literally schools and communities of their own. Like, they're gonna, and there's not a lot of people in Alberta, so it's not gonna be hard to take Alberta over. Yet they're worried about something on the other side of the world that, like I said, that Canada's just, their declaration is not going to do anything. It's not going to affect anything. Well, it might psychologically, that's it. But as a result, regards with Alberta, it has nothing to do with Alberta statehood. They're just Zio cucks, I call them. Don't be a Zio cuck. Think for yourself. Okay, so here's another one. Joe Warmington, he's all upset about our ally Israel. They're not really our ally. Look at this. Joe Warmington, he's outraged. Canada recognized the state of Israel upon its founding in 1948, and the two countries established formal diplomatic relations. We've developed an exceptional bilateral relationship. I don't know about that. Based on mutual cooperation in a number of key strategic areas. I don't know what areas he's talking about. Giving us tens of thousands of refugees, is that the area he's talking about? Using our passports for their spies and putting Canadians in danger. Is that what he's killing a Canadian soldier? Is that what he's talking about? We have a strong, multidimensional bilateral relations marked by close political, economic, social, and cultural ties. Yeah, I don't see that, but. Okay. So he was responding to Israel's not Canada's ally, this oil and gas guy. And I said the same thing. They're not our ally. I'm not saying they're our enemy, but they're not like, trust me, they're not our ally. Because, like I said, they love using our passports for their spies because they don't want to use Americans, and Canadians are seen as like a good reputation worldwide. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but it got to the point where the Canadian government had to say, hey man, cool it with the passports. Like, the government knew it was, the Canadian government knew the Mossad was using our passports more frequently than other countries. And it got to the point where they had to say meekly. They didn't say it nice, like with the way they should have, like kicking the ambassador out. They said it diplomatically to like settle down on the passport production, fake passports. Also, they killed a Canadian soldier in Lebanon. He was a peacekeeper, and he was stationed somewhere in Lebanon. They knew where he was, too. His position was clearly marked, and they still killed him. Canada, really weak-ass response. I remember, I don't know the exact response, but it was weak. That's like kicking ambassador out, you know. And then, yeah, tens of thousands of refugees in Canada because of them. So Syria, we had 40,000 from Syria. Maybe more. I know 40,000 in one bunch came. And you say, oh, they're here because of the Syrian president, not because of Israel. But Israel, United States destabilized Syria in 2014. They started arming these terrorist groups to fight the government who they didn't like. Israel didn't like this guy running Syria. So they finally got rid of him, chased him out of the country. But during that conflict, 40,000 Syrians came to Canada. Had the West not destabilized Syria, had Israel not destabilized Syria, we wouldn't have 40,000 refugees and possibly more coming from Syria. So that's just one example. So that's not much of an ally. Kills your soldiers, uses your passports, sends you tons of refugees. And who knows what kind of spying they do in Canada. If they wanted information, they could use their little network of spies. So, yeah, not an ally. That's not how an ally acts. Okay. Sorry. It's the truth. So any Canadian influencers, you should kind of get that through your head. I'm not saying, we should, the Palestinians are straight shooters. Whatever. Good luck to them. Do whatever. But I'm saying I don't want this ally relationship, this friend relationship with Israel is not really benefiting us. I wouldn't call it a friend relationship. All right. Next, in Canada here. Home invasion. I hate these videos because it's like the purge territory. So what the date on this video? July 28th. So just now. It looks like 3:38 in the morning. So this is in Woodbridge, Ontario. So look at this gang. 5 guys. Can you imagine you're sitting at 3 in the morning and this gang shows up at your house? That's when you want a big shotgun. And look how quick they do it. That way you're too caught off guard. Wow. Well, they're taking off quick. Maybe the alarm went off. I don't know. Anyway, the point is the home invasions are going up in Canada. And that's the worst thing, because if you're not safe in your own home, like it's one thing you go out and you get mugged, or get carjacked. But when they're coming right into your home while you're sleeping, big problems. And the reason they're doing that is because they're not afraid. Though if they do get, the chance of them getting caught get lower all the time because the cops are overwhelmed. So first they probably won't even get caught. If they do get caught, it'll be like after the 5th home invasion, let's say. And then when they do get caught, they get put on bail. Because that's how we do it here. And if they do get charged, it takes years to get through the system. They probably get legal aid. So basically the taxpayers are paying to defend these criminals. And it takes years to go through. And they end up getting either the charges thrown out. Excuse me. Or thrown out, reduced, or they do some time and then they get out early on parole or probation. Just like that one guy who got let out. The guy who was in he was in the shooting that killed Jane Kriba, and then he got let out, and then he got into another shooting. So when you're thugs, young thugs who have nothing else going, whether, I don't know if they're immigrants or they're homegrown gangbangers, when they have nothing to do, and they see the response from the justice system, they say, okay, it's worth the risk, it's worth the effort and these people have money anyway, screw it. So that's how you lose your society, like if you can't protect your own house. So hopefully we can put a tamp on that. And this is another thing too, next post here. This has been on my feed all day, this poor guy with the skeleton body. So he's a hostage He's a hostage. He didn't even say his name. Anyway, his name's been all over my feed all day, so they want me to feel sorry for him. And, you know, it sucks to be him. Nobody likes to be prisoner. Hopefully he can get home quite soon. But they're comparing him, like, to the Holocaust, concentration camp people and stuff. Like, they're so dramatic. Like, man, like, they cry all day. I've been looking at this all day against my will because it keeps drowning my feed. And of course, I got to bring the Holocaust back into it. And this is how they do it, because what they don't mention is they, for decades, have had thousands and thousands of Palestinian prisoners in their prisons, getting abused, being held arbitrarily on being held on kind of like special emergency authority. I can't remember the administrative charges, like administrative detention. So basically, you know, we're talking about thousands of Palestinians rotting away in Israeli prisons. So I don't want anybody, political prisoners, rotting away. But they push this poor guy's image all over the internet today. And who knows, maybe Netanyahu could have got him back and he didn't want him back because he needed a reason to keep it. Who knows? The point is they don't mention their part. Like, okay, when an Israeli baby gets killed, which is horrible, they're like, look at these animals, look at this. But you kill 20,000 Palestinian babies, and it's like, oh, they're Hamas. You know, so I can't take that, you know. So I said, Israel has thousands of Palestinian prisoners rotting away in their jails. No rebuttal. A lot of people say, oh, they're criminals. It's like, probably a few of them are criminals, yeah. But there's probably a few that are there because, you know, of their politics. Okay. Next. In Brampton. This is Canada. See, instead of worrying about Israel and hurting their feelings with the statehood declaration, maybe some of the conservatives here should worry about Canada turning into India. I don't see too many of them worried about it for some reason. So look at this. It says, old dude traveling in the back of a truck in Brampton. Seriously, why do you bring your parents and grandparents to Canada if you're going to treat them like this? But yeah, this poor guy, how the hell did he get to Canada? He looks like he's 80 years old. Let's see this. This is hilarious. Oh, God, what happened?
Welcome to Brampton, brother. How about you? How about you? Oh, shit. Damn.
Okay. He was probably like, some guy said, oh, he probably had to hold the stuff in place because they didn't tie it down, or maybe he likes it in the back. Maybe it reminds him of home. Back when on the donkey cart there. And this, hold on one sec. Alright, sorry. Alright, so, and this is the last thing. Can't be the last thing. Government and media. This is by Chris Barber, okay. Government and media message Canadians to hate the Freedom Convoy over desecration of the Terry Fox statue. The lies the government fed the sheep will never be forgotten. Terry Fox is a national hero. So, yeah, I remember in Ottawa, his statue there, they were acting like it was the end of the world because we put a Canadian flag on and a Canada hat. Like, it was such commie bullshit. Yeah. So that was an interesting post. But yeah, so there's this guy. There, look at this. This is what I had to look at all day. See how they have him as the Holocaust guy. Here, hold on. The Holocaust guy there. And they're like, it's happening again. And it's like, man, come on, man. You gotta be kidding me. Like, talk about drama queens. Like, I think the guy was an IDF soldier too. But like I said, they got thousands of people rotting away. Who knows how many ones they've gotten raped or had a broomstick stuck up their ass, you know? Like, so, it sucks. Nobody likes being prisoner. It sucks. But I had to look at this all day. Come on. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's it for today. That's what I had to look at all day. I'm just telling you. We'll see tomorrow what happens on the daily recall of my news feed. Yeah, I don't ask for it. My feed shows me it and I react, and that's what I do. All right. So, we'll be here tomorrow, August 3rd, Sunday, because I have nothing better to do. And we'll see what else shows up on the news feed tomorrow. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. All right? Have a nice night.